They saw God split the sea. They walked through it. Walls of water stood on both sides, and they passed through on dry ground. They watched miracles with their own eyes. Food fell from the sky. Water came out of rock. They had seen what no nation had ever seen, but just weeks later, everything changed. They built a new god, out of gold, and started worshiping it. What happened next? 3,000 people died in a single day, because when God was silent, they replaced him. The mountain burned with fire. Smoke rose into the heavens. Thunder rolled across the wilderness. At the top stood Moses, alone, in the presence of God, receiving commands that would shape a nation. But down below, the people were waiting. At first, patiently, then anxiously, then restlessly. Days passed, then more days. And slowly, silence began to feel like absence. No voice, no movement, no visible direction. And when people cannot see, they begin to doubt. Fear crept in. And fear does something dangerous. It looks for control. So they turned to Aaron, the one left in charge, the one who had seen the miracles, the one who should have stood firm, but the pressure was relentless. Voices rising, crowds demanding. They wanted something visible, something they could hold, something they could worship. And instead of resisting, Aaron gave in. Gold was gathered, necklaces, rings, bracelets, precious things, surrendered for a terrible purpose. The fire was lit, the gold melted, and from it, an image emerged, a calf, shining, powerful, man-made. And in that moment, they gave it a name it did not deserve. They called it their God. The same people who had seen the real God now bowed to something they created. The atmosphere changed instantly. Reverence vanished. Restraint disappeared. What began as uncertainty turned into full rebellion. They danced before it, celebrated it, offered sacrifices to it, and all of it was happening in full view of heaven, because on the mountain, God saw everything. Nothing hidden, nothing ignored, and the response was immediate. Judgment. Moses was sent down, carrying the tablets, written by the hand of God. But as he descended, he heard it. Noise. Not war, not warning. Celebration. Loud, chaotic, uncontrolled. And when he saw it, the idol, the dancing, the complete abandonment of truth, something broke. The tablets fell from his hands and shattered against the ground, a visible sign of what had already been broken. The covenant. The calf was destroyed, burned in fire, ground into powder, reduced to nothing, just like the lie it represented. But the people would not escape so easily. Moses stood at the entrance of the camp, and in that moment, he drew a line, not in the sand, but in allegiance. He called out, "Those who are still for God, come." Silence fell. The music had already died. The celebration had collapsed. Now there was only tension. And then, movement. One group stepped forward, the tribe of Levi. They separated themselves from the rebellion behind them. And what came next was not symbolic. It was not delayed. It was immediate. A command was given. They were to move through the camp, from one end to the other. And wherever rebellion remained, judgment followed. There were no more dances, no more celebration, only shock, only fear, only the sound of consequences unfolding. That day, about 3,000 people fell, not in battle, not against enemies, but within their own camp, because they had chosen to replace God. And even then, it wasn't over, because judgment did not end in a moment. A plague followed, quiet, invisible, but just as real, moving through the people as a reminder that what had happened was not small. This was not a mistake. This was a turning point. But even in judgment, there was something else. Moses returned to God, not to defend the sin, but to stand for the people, to intercede, to ask for mercy, even offering himself in their place. And in that moment, we see something deeper. Judgment reveals God's holiness, but mercy reveals his heart. The golden calf was gone, but the lesson remained, because this story was never just about an idol. It was about impatience. It was about fear. It was about what people do when God feels silent. Because even today, the pattern hasn't changed. It may not be gold. It may not be statues. But anything that replaces God becomes the same mistake. And the question still stands, what do people turn to when they can't see him? Because what happened that day proved something that echoes through time. When people replace God, the consequences are never small.